please donate to Zach's fund. Thank you all so much. I can't wait for you all to see this movie.
Clouds is the inspirational true story.
I'm really hoping she doesn't drop her lawsuit. But why would she when she's clearly on a false victory tour using every explosive tactic available? As Blake Lively appears to be in full meltdown mode after Justin Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman completely dismantled her latest courtroom maneuver, raising serious questions about why she's suddenly abandoning her two most critical claims ahead of the June 23rd deadline. Because while Blake may have popped champagne over a few dismissed claims, Friedman isn't relaxing at all. He's preparing a storm for the June 23rd hearing, leaving everyone wondering whether this marks the dramatic downfall of Hollywood's so-called golden girl, or if she's still desperately clinging to a carefully manufactured image. As her legal team does what they always do by crying publicity stunt and demanding the motion be squashed, even as the courtroom battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni reaches a jaw-dropping stage where Baldoni's legal team pulls no punches, turning this from a simple legal dispute into the full-scale dismantling of a Hollywood facade, with Brian Friedman aggressively laying out why Baldoni is suing after filing a massive $400 million defamation lawsuit against Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and her publicist Leslie Sloan, accusing them of orchestrating a deliberate smear campaign designed to destroy Baldoni's career and reputation, while Lively's wildly inconsistent public behavior, from smiling red carpets and SNL appearances to sudden displays of regret and victimhood, raises eyebrows as she alternates between appearing carefree and portraying herself as a burden-bearing advocate for other victims. Despite her explosive harassment and retaliation accusations during the Eat ends with U.S. production that the media eagerly amplified by painting her as a brave survivor, a narrative Friedman flatly rejects as he goes on the offensive with a legal complaint portraying Lively's actions as a calculated attempt to falsely accuse Baldoni for personal gain, supported by claims from co-star On Sheen that Lively mischaracterized their scene in her lawsuit, while Friedman further alleges this was part of a broader scheme involving Ryan Reynolds defaming Baldoni across Hollywood, pressuring WME to drop him and attempting to destroy his career by any means necessary, with the heart of the case centered on the staggering $400 million figure that Friedman argues reflects the real financial devastation caused by Lively's accusations in an industry where a damaged reputation can be a career death sentence. Even as Baldoni continues to defend himself against her harassment, retaliation, and smear claims, because this fight is no longer just legal but a brutal war over public perception, with Friedman accusing Lively of leveraging Hollywood's elite and powerful insiders to protect her narrative and positioning Baldoni as the victim of an industry that shields its stars regardless of the facts. Now we're seeing a system where bullies appear legally protected to do whatever they want while the legal process enables continued victimization. Yet the court has invited Baldoni's team to amend 4 out of 7 claims against Blake Lively, allowing additional evidence and refined allegations. And as Brian Friedman prepares to file that amended complaint by June 23rd, the stakes have never been higher, especially after he hinted that even more damaging evidence is coming, making it clear he's not backing down and that this battle is far from over, with every new filing making it increasingly likely that Lively's carefully constructed narrative is about to collapse, raising serious concerns about how easily accusations can be weaponized as a threat to silence or control others, which many believe is exactly what happened here, as negative press briefly swirled and was later framed by Lively as a massive pile-on, despite critics pointing out that such scrutiny is routine, especially compared to political media cycles, while the timing of her accusations surfacing just as it ends with us faced creative and financial trouble has fueled speculation that this wasn't coincidence, but a calculated move to deflect blame and protect her own interests, a theory Friedman appears to strongly support, especially as Baldoni's legal team focuses on hard evidence rather than emotional appeals, painting an increasingly unflattering picture of Lively as insiders claimed she struggled to produce solid proof and appeared visibly rattled in court when Friedman presented key exhibits, reinforcing accusations that she's attempting to rewrite history, a shift so noticeable that even media outlets once sympathetic to her, including People magazine, are now cautioning against treating her court appearances as a victory lap, emphasizing that 4 of Baldoni's 7 claims remain active. And while Lively may have celebrated the dismissal of the initial filing, Friedman's camp is preparing to refile by June 23rd, with renewed focus on alleged threats involving WME clients and her on-set conduct, signaling a potential seismic shift in the case, one that could prove more compelling than the film itself. As the real fallout unfolds in the court of public opinion where reputations are built or destroyed, cracks in Lively's polished image continue to grow, with scrutiny extending to her Hollywood allies, including criticism aimed at Salma Hayek and raised eyebrows over her sister, Robin, selling personalized messages despite family wealth, adding to the bizarre optics and mounting questions about what's really happening behind the scenes. While Baldoni's methodical, surgical legal strategy and Friedman's ability to pair sharp arguments with concrete evidence have steadily flipped the narrative, reframing Baldoni not as a perpetrator but as a victim of Hollywood's manipulative power structures. A storyline that's resonating strongly with audiences exhausted by the industry's double standards. Remember this, Blake Lively has already ruined Justin Baldoni's legacy, and the escalating tension between these two camps has turned this case into far more than a courtroom dispute, transforming it into a cultural flashpoint where Baldoni's fight is not just about clearing his name but exposing an industry that rewards performative activism over real accountability. While Lively's visible struggle to maintain composure under Brian, Friedman's relentless pressure has become its own gripping spectacle. And as the June 23rd deadline approaches for Baldoni's team to refile their claims, the question looms whether this will finally be the moment her carefully curated image shatters, or if her PR machine will once again spin a redemption arc. Because this saga is far from over and the truth is far messier than anyone expected. Especially since Baldoni's countersuit was never a routine legal move but a declaration of war. A bold attempt to flip the narrative entirely by arriving in court not to defend himself but to fight back with evidence, documents, admissions, and receipts, asserting that Lively's allegations were not only baseless but deliberately exaggerated to derail his career through media manipulation and extortion, allegedly aided by powerful WME-linked figures pulling strings behind the scenes, highlighting how easily false accusations can destroy a life under the protection of legal privilege. As Baldoni's legal team positioned him as the real victim of Hollywood's elite machinery, making clear this battle is about reclaiming integrity in an industry obsessed with optics. Especially after Lively dominated headlines and sympathy before Baldoni could even respond. Until Friedman stepped into the courtroom like a battlefield commander and made one thing clear: Lively didn't win, Baldoni simply hadn't yet proven defamation. A critical distinction, as Friedman's strategy was to shred Lively's credibility piece by exposing inconsistencies, broken timelines, missing witnesses, and uncorroborated claims while hinting at evidence so damaging it could flip the entire case, leaving the courtroom buzzing and Lively's team visibly shaken, with legal experts praising Friedman's aggressive, yet surgical approach as a masterclass takedown that dismantled her case motion by motion, cracking her usually composed demeanor and sparking talk of a meltdown. As this case centers on alleged false accusations of harassment, retaliation, and a so-called smear campaign her own team claims is untraceable because it never existed, igniting intense reactions both inside the courtroom and online, where Friedman's confidence turned him into a legal rock star and Lively's faltering responses fueled memes, debates, and non-stop public fascination, proving this isn't just a trial anymore but a spectacle everyone is watching unfold in real time. They weren't just watching a lawsuit, they were witnessing a full-blown spectacle. And while it's been framed as anything but, this was a major loss. Because this fight was never just about a few legal wins or awkward public moments. It was about Baldoni's countersuit and Brian Friedman's scorched earth strategy exposing a much deeper problem: the power dynamics and media machinery that shape narratives in Hollywood, positioning Baldoni as a man standing up to a system seemingly rigged against him, turning this into a battle not just to clear his name but to challenge the industry's shadowy playbook. Especially as Blake Lively has now abandoned 2 key claims related to intentional infliction of emotional distress, signaling that we are inching closer to the inevitable end of this case. While her legal team scrambles on the defensive under Friedman's relentless pressure, as the courtroom transforms into a stage for a high-stakes war of evidence, strategy, and public perception, with Baldoni and Friedman currently controlling the momentum. Even as the drama remains far from over, because one thing is undeniable: the countersuit has shattered the original narrative, and with more evidence promised and the June 23rd deadline looming, the next chapter is poised to be explosive. Despite widespread frustration over media coverage portraying this as a win for Lively and treating the story as finished when it clearly isn't. Since in Hollywood legal battles, the courtroom is only half the war, and the other half is fought in the court of public opinion, where media favoritism has been evident from the start, framing the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni saga like a scripted film with Lively cast as the fearless heroine and Baldoni as the villain. A storyline that begins to crumble under scrutiny, particularly with criticism aimed at figures like CNN's Jake Tapper, whose coverage appeared less like investigative journalism and more like cheerleading, glossing over inconsistencies in Lively's claims while amplifying accusations against Baldoni, prompting backlash over what many see as biased and irresponsible reporting. Yet despite the flaws of the justice system and the frustrations surrounding fairness, there remains a growing belief that Baldoni will ultimately prevail, especially as some outlets like People magazine cautiously urged against premature celebration of Lively's so-called victories, though by then public perception had already been steered not toward the truth, but toward a narrative carefully crafted and widely repeated. He came in like, "Oh no, we're not done," and that's when Brian Friedman, Baldoni's legal bulldog, stepped in, recognized the media bias for what it was, and chose to fight fire with fire, taking Baldoni's case to public platforms to dismantle the carefully curated narrative surrounding Blake Lively, not just rebutting allegations, but exposing how her camp allegedly used the media as a strategic weapon, with Friedman's message unmistakable that they weren't playing along and weren't backing down, an approach that resonated with audiences exhausted by predictable one-sided coverage, as he framed the case as one centered on false allegations of sexual harassment, retaliation, and a so-called smear campaign that Lively's own team admits is untraceable because it never existed, while social media became the chaotic arena where opinion truly shifted, starting with overwhelming support for Lively before Friedman's arguments began poking holes in her story, turning platforms like Twitter and Instagram into battlegrounds over whether she was a genuine victim or exploiting the Me Too movement, fracturing once unified support and raising troubling questions about how celebrity allegiance has blurred the movement's original mission of justice and accountability. Because this case isn't just about two actors in a legal feud, but about media integrity, public responsibility, and the credibility of a cause that deserves better. All while the spectacle grew messier, with Robin Lively unexpectedly entering the spotlight by selling personalized messages online, sparking speculation about bizarre optics, family finances, and behind-the-scenes turmoil that only added another strange layer to an already chaotic saga. As Baldoni's legal team pressed forward with 4 claims still active and the critical June 23rd amendment deadline approaching, making it clear they're gearing up for round 2 with sharper arguments and reportedly more damaging evidence, including deeper scrutiny into alleged WME pressure and Lively's on-set behavior, with Friedman signaling that the next filing could be explosive, setting the stage for even more courtroom fireworks as his aggressive, theatrical style continues to rattle Lively's team, who may lean harder on emotional appeals and media optics to preserve public sympathy, though the cracks in their narrative are becoming harder to ignore, positioning June 23rd as a potential turning point in a case that shows no signs of slowing down and remains one of Hollywood's most volatile and closely watched battles yet.